Coming to you live from the TV10 studios right here in Kigali, Rwanda. Welcome to the comprehensive English News Bulletin with me, George Ndirango. Let's take a look at the stories making headlines today. Actively participate in national building and keep off drug abuse, Rwandan youth urged as the country formally marks the International Day Against Drug Abuse. Amid deepening concern about the well-being of Nelson Mandela, President Jacob Zuma says that the legendary leader's health is better but still critical. US President Barack Obama addresses Snowden, Mandela, and same-sex marriage in the first day of his tour to Africa. Well, a very good evening to you from wherever you're watching. Let's go straight to our news in details. As Rwanda marked the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking today, the youth in Rwanda have been called upon to engage in national building and avoid acts that could lead them to engaging in drug abuse. Our reporter Flora Ndotiye was at the venue of today's celebrations where a lot of statements and testimonies were made. He filed the following report.
Rwandans marked this day under the theme, striving for a community free from drugs. We refuse drug trafficking and use. The gathering here heard that even with several campaigns by government and non-governmental organizations, some Rwandan youth still continue to indulge in drug abuse. The participants also heard some testimonies from former drug addicts.
Do affect a person either physically and mentally. So drugs should be abolished completely in Rwanda.
Actively participate in fighting the vice. Actively participate in fighting the vice.
The specific message here is to invite all Rwandans to understand the bad effects, the negative effect of this drug use and drug trafficking. And we are lucky to have the good partnership from all categories of Rwandan population, starting by Ministry of Health, which was leading this campaign, and all young Rwandans who now understand that there is something else to concentrate on and avoid using drugs.
Under the resolution 42/112 of the 7th December 1987, the UN General Assembly declared 26 June as the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking as an expression of its determination to strengthen action and cooperation to achieve the goal of an international society free of drug abuse. The international theme for 2013 is Make Health your new high in life, not drugs. Florent Dutille for TV10.
Now with us in studio is Eugene Anangwe and Frank Bagabo from the anti-drug organization in Rwanda. Eugene, over to you.
Thank you very much, George, from our other studio. Indeed, as you said it rightly, we are in studio with Mr. Frank Bagabo, who is a former drug addict, very reformed gentleman, who is here in studio to discuss with us, just as Flora gave us that story out there concerning the use of drugs by young people. So we're going to be digesting a bit about that with Frank in studio.
All right, over to you now.
All right, thank you very much, Frank, for accepting to be on set with us today. First of all, today Rwanda was celebrating or marking the International Anti-Drugs Day. Of course, we saw many testimonies of young people talking about their experience and how they have changed their lives. But we still have cases of young people abusing drugs. How bad is the case, according to you?
Okay, the case is still appearing that some youth are still abusing the drugs. It's because they are lacking a clear follow-up after being rehabilitated.
Mm-hmm. So you have gone through the rehabilitation process. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I've gone through the rehabilitation center. Mm-hmm. It's a period whereby you go there and you have to spend 1 year. Mm-hmm. You have to meet different doctors, mm-hmm. especially psychologists, who help you, tell you about the effects of drugs. Mm-hmm. either internally and physically.
So this was at Iwawa Center?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so could you please tell us what do you think is one of the major causes that is leading young people into starting to abuse drugs? There are those who say stress levels, unemployment, idleness, but according to you, what is the real reason as to why young people get into drug abusing?
Actually, it has been seen that most of it is because of history, background. As you know, Rwanda passed through genocide and such cases, inclusive those in the cases you mentioned about unemployment, stress. Those are the major causes that make the youth go into use of drugs.
Into use of drugs. Now, we had some officials, including the police, calling on young people to, restrain and leave, keep away drugs. Do you feel these calls are realistic? Do you feel that there's more that needs to be done apart from just the talk and the calls by these officials?
Okay, what they are doing was useful, but I think what they have to do first is to at least work with the youth and listen to what they think, because they are the ones who know better than them what's bringing about the cause.
So you feel there needs to be more follow-up apart from just the talks in hotels?
The talks and the theory things on TV and radios and campaigns are not enough.
Okay. There's a big statistic that we are seeing today. The number of girls is closing in, those who are abusing drugs. It used to be more with the boys, but today the number of girls who are, abusing drugs, their number is slowly and easily catching up with the numbers of the boys. What do you think is causing this? I mean,
actually, as I mentioned it earlier, if the government tries to keep protecting the youth of Rwanda, recently they opened up another center for girls.
Good.
While there's a center for boys. So I think that would make some change soon.
Okay. Your parting words now for those who probably are going through a hard time of stopping to abuse drugs. You're a person who has gone through all this. You got into abusing drugs, but you finally got reformed. What advice, what piece of encouragement could you give them today?
The advice I would give advice to both the youth and the parents and the government at large.
Okay.
The first advice to the youth is they should know that using drugs does not solve any problem, because it has been seen that the youth they pretend to say that they use drugs because they have problems, and I would like to tell them that that's not the solution. They should try get solutions another way possible, not through drugs. And I would advise parents that parents should try to be close to their children, try to create a friendly relationship between them, so that when a kid or a child will tell his or her parent whatever thing he or she is thinking.
All right. Thank you very much, Frank, for being with us in studio. Very insightful. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, so George Durango, I'll be handing back to you, but just reminding our viewers that this year's theme or today's theme for the celebrations was do not get high with drugs, but get high with positivity. Back to you, George.
Quite brilliant. Don't get high on drugs, get high on positivity. That was Eugene Anangwe and Frank Bagabo from the anti-drugs organization in Rwanda. Eugene always giving us a one-on-one detailed scoop on what's actually happening in the society. So thank you, Eugene. Now it's time for a short commercial break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Growing more wings. We will tell you the story of the arrival of Rwanda's new aircraft after the break. Do stay with us.
Explore Africa. We are growing our destinations to connect you even more. Introducing Accra from June 1st, 2013.
With Douala and Juba coming soon.
Whether for business or for pleasure, meet all the opportunities that await you. Everything is so much closer to you when you fly with Rwandair. Fly to Accra 5 times a week. Earn double miles on any of the new destinations. Book your tickets today at our offices, any preferred travel agent, or online at rwandair.com.
Fly our dream to the heart of Africa.
Well, thank you for joining us. If you're just joining us, you are watching TV10 right here in Kigali, Rwanda. Let's go straight to more news. Now, Rwanda celebrated the arrival of its second Boeing 737-700NG, the newest addition to its fleet of planes. But what exactly does this mean for Rwandan travel and economy? TV10's Lauren Richardson explains.
The Rwanda-based company began in 2002 and soon became a major player in the connection from east to west. Today, it received a new plane, making the oldest plane in its fleet only 6 years old. The guest of honor was Honorable Professor Silas Lwakabamba, the Minister of Infrastructure. He says he's pleased with Rwandair's progress.
One hopes that this will bring in more people to do business, tourists. Business will increase, conference tourism and other tourism. So this is something which is very exciting.
This is just one of many steps in the company's master plan to provide the best service from the heart of Africa.
And when you compare with quite a number of other countries, you will see that even the neighboring countries were more aircraft than those, quite a number of these countries.
Joan has been a pilot with Rwandair for 2 years and has seen the company grow dramatically.
We have actually added a couple of routes, and among them is in West Africa. We have Accra, which is picking up really well. Douala is starting up. We have Juba in South Sudan, and they're also thinking about Lusaka, they're thinking about Southern Africa and all that stuff, Gaborone. It's all in the way.
The company hopes that as they expand, they will be able to become one of the top airlines in Africa.
Thank you, Lauren. Now, elsewhere, on to other stories. Now, the National Electoral Commission says that money is not an issue when it comes to holding the parliamentary elections scheduled for September this year. In a press conference, the president of NEC explained that even if aid does not come their way, the elections would go as planned.
Rwandan government ensures enough budget for core business of elections. We have certainly some needs about capacity building, civic education, voter education, but for the core business of election, Rwanda ensure enough budget for this operation. Without foreign aid, we have no problem for operation about election.
8 million voters are expected to voice their support for their candidates as their $6 million budget is set. Well, it is now time for a short commercial break, but when we return, we take a look at what's happening around the region. Stable but critical condition. Stay tuned for updates on Mandela's health after the break. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. On to regional matters now. South African President Jacob Zuma says that Nelson Mandela's condition has improved but still remains critical. After speaking to the 94-year-old's medical team, Mr. Zuma said, and I quote, "He is much better today than when I saw him last night." South Africa's first black president, an icon of the anti-apartheid struggle, has been in hospital in Pretoria since 8th of June this year with a lung infection. Mr. Mandela's daughter, Makaziwe, also confirmed the reports, saying that he was still there and responding to touch. Nelson Mandela's eldest daughter's criticism has echoed the sentiments of many South Africans who are angry at the intrusive nature of some of the media coverage around the former president's state of health. One such report suggested that Mr. Mandela had suffered cardiac arrest on 15th June when he was rushed to hospital, and just this week some unconfirmed media reports say that the national icon was now on life support. Meanwhile, the media continues to camp outside the Heart Hospital in Pretoria, where he is being treated, as well as outside his home in Johannesburg, waiting for any news. Now, as the world holds its breath and continues to pray for the ailing former South African leader, here in Rwanda there is a village in Bugesera district named after the legendary leader, Mandela Peace Village. Our reporter Sumta Ingabire visited the widows at the center to find out what their thoughts are during this time.
The Nelson Mandela Village was established in 1995 to accommodate widows of the Rwandan genocide against the Tutsis. It is located in the outskirts of Kigali. Those living here feel so sad about Nelson Mandela's condition. They described him as a father and a great fighter.
We are happy to say he is a strong man who has helped us a lot, especially financial assistance, and even when functions took place, we were invited as people who looked up to him. I know him as a person who has done a lot for us as widows. We were provided with household items as well, and we pray he gets well soon.
Representatives of the organization that put up this village had a lot of honor for Mandela. They tell us why the village was named after him.
Naming the village Mandela was in respect of his name, which to us is a symbol of peace. We would have named it after RPF, but we chose his name because he is a legend who has sacrificed a lot.
Gasirabo Emil, the community leader of the village, urged African leaders and citizens to emulate Mandela's spirit of selflessness, unity and peace.
I advise Rwandans to as well lead an exemplary life emulating his legendary actions.
Even though these old widows of the 1994 genocide in Rwanda may seem saddened by the news of the African hero Nelson Mandela Madiba at Inarama in Bugesera district may be sad, but the only chance and prayer to God is if he's only given a second chance to live. For TV10, I am Assumpta Ingabire.
Thank you, Assumpta. Elsewhere, the United States President Barack Obama arrived in Senegal last evening, the first stop of a three-nation African trip focused on supporting democratic progress and increasing U.S. trade and investment. A key thing to note is that this is Obama's second visit to Africa since he became president in 2008, considering a brief stopover he made to Ghana 5 years ago. Fiona Mbabazi takes us through his trip.
Senegal is the starting point for what is only Obama's second visit to sub-Saharan Africa as president. After talks this Thursday with President Macky Sall, President Barack Obama said the U.S. wants ties with Africa based on trade and partnership instead of aid and assistance. Asked concerning the question of Snowden, he answered that there are international laws which will be followed if Russia insists on giving him refuge.
So I am interested in making sure that the rules of extradition are obeyed. Now, we don't have an extradition treaty with Russia, which makes it more complicated. You don't have to have an extradition treaty, though, to resolve some of these issues. There have been some useful conversations that have taken place between the United States government and the Russian government. And my continued expectation is that Russia or other countries that have talked about potentially providing Mr. Snowden asylum recognize that they are part of an international community and that they should be abiding by international law.
Senegal is the first leg of the three-nation Africa tour to promote trade, investment and democracy. The president said the reason he traveled to Africa is because the continent is rising and he does not want the U.S. to miss the opportunity to broaden and deepen in relations in the region. From Senegal, President Obama plans to head to South Africa and visit Robben Island, the prison where former President Nelson Mandela spent nearly 2 decades. During his appearance with Sall, President Obama paid tribute to the ailing former South African leader, calling Mandela a hero for the world. Obama will also stop in Tanzania before heading home. Obama will not be visiting Kenya, the birthplace of his father. The president's plans have disappointed many Kenyans, but Kenya's president and deputy president are both facing trial at the ICC for crimes against humanity. Diplomats say this makes an Obama visit at this time quite impossible. Fiona Mbabazi reporting for TV10.
Thank you, Fiona Mbabazi, for that comprehensive report. Over to the international scene now. Tackling youth unemployment and increasing growth will be top of the agenda as European leaders gather in Brussels for a 2-day summit. The meeting comes as the European Commission's president says that a political deal has been reached on the EU's hotly debated long-term budget. Economic policy will be the focus of the European Council with 3 main issues. Number 1 being coordination of member states' economic and fiscal policy, including country-specific specific recommendations. Number 2 being evaluation of efforts to boost competitiveness, jobs and growth, with emphasis on initiatives to enhance youth employment and the financing of the economy. And finally, progress on the completion of the EU's economic and monetary union, in particular the banking union. The leaders will also discuss Latvia's application to adopt the euro as its currency on 1st January 2014. EU finance ministers have agreed on new rules for bank rescues, shifting the burden away from taxpayers. Elsewhere in the sports news, it was mostly good news for Brazil. The host nation booked its spot in the Confederations Cup finals with a 2-1 victory over their long-term arch rivals, Uruguay. In the early minutes of the game, Uruguay were challenged and were even awarded a penalty after a scuffle in the penalty box, a penalty which they missed. Paulinho, however, sealed the deal with a header into Uruguay's net at the 86th minute. Brazils now have a shot at their 3rd consecutive Confederations Cup crown. Now, finally, they say Thursday is the new Friday. It's just a few hours to be the beginning of the weekend. For others, it has already begun. Now, what most people normally like at this particular moment is to drive or fly for a couple of hours to spend time away from the city of Kigali. Very few people have had the opportunity to visit Rwanda's tourism attraction sites during their weekends. Our reporter Mary DeMarc puts this story into perspective.
This is near Bugogo bus station. It is always busy, but gets even more crowded during the weekend. This is one of the sellers of bus tickets for buses that travel beyond the city and the country.
Yeah, just at weekend we have many crowds. Then to Monday or Tuesday, they have many crowds. But just to weekend, it's more and more.
Here we met several Rwandans ready to board the buses for weekend outing. But, interesting enough, none of them is going to any of the tourism attraction sites.
My parents live in Gisenyi. That's why I go there at least once or twice a week.
So you are returning home for the weekend?
No, I work there. I was coming to visit, now I'm going back.
Back to the city, some of those we spoke to share their views as to why visiting the national parks and other local tourism sites has not been possible for them.
Problem is the mindset of our people or our citizens. This is the reason why the government should make all effort to encourage the people to go to visit the park, all citizens.
For me, I see they say that those are for Abazungu, not for us. They are not interested of that. They are looking for food, money only, but not for natures.
They are richest. That is why they come to visit us. At least, I can give you for example. As I see me, I didn't go anywhere else in this nation.
We sought to find out why a majority of Rwandans don't grab the opportunity to enjoy the rich tourism sites that the country offers.
So I think most of people are not, first of all, aware that it's possible to go and visit the gorillas. The second thing that I think might be the problem is lack of awareness on the procedural way of going to visit the mountain gorillas. For example, people are not aware on which process should we follow to get the permits, the transport, and everything. So that can also be another reason. And thirdly, I might think of the cost. Although the permit itself is very low and more affordable by most, but then you'll need some other extra which will go with it. For example, if you're not from the area, you'll need accommodation, you'll need transport from Kigali or from wherever.
Even as the officials from the tourism sector continue to engage in the campaign to sensitize the public on the more tourism attraction sites other than just the mountain gorillas, it seems that more convincing still needs to be done to enable all Rwandans to fully appreciate local tourism.
Well, after that analysis, I think I have the slightest idea. I think I have an idea where I'll be over the weekend, and I'll be sure to take Mary DeMarc with me to help me through the tour. It has now come to the end of our English news bulletin, but before we leave you, here's a recap of the news that made our headlines. Actively participate in national building and keep off drug abuse, Rwandan youth urged as the country formally marks the International Day Against Drug Abuse. Amid deepening concern about the well-being of Nelson Mandela, President Jacob Zuma says that the legendary leader's health is better but still critical. US President Barack Obama addresses Snowden, Mandela and same-sex marriage in the first day of his tour to Africa. We are keen to have your feedback on our effort. Do let us know by sending us an email to news@tv10rwanda.com. On behalf of the entire technical and factual news team that made this news possible, my name is George Ndirango, wishing you a lovely evening ahead.